Some people think AI is the end of human creativity. I think it's the next evolution in how we gather information, interpret evidence, and communicate ideas. Welcome to the first Sunday Sanity Check. Hello everyone, and welcome to the first edition of the Sanity Check on Sundays. I'm Bo Kauffmann, and today we're going to try something a little different. Over the past year, I've embraced AI as part of my research process. Not because I think it's always right, and certainly not because it replaces human judgment. I use it because I believe it's the next evolution in how we gather, organize, and communicate information. I mean, think about it. Gutenberg's printing press made knowledge accessible to millions. Centuries later, desktop publishing put professional publishing tools on ordinary computers. To me, AI is the next step in that journey. Not replacing people, but helping us to explore ideas faster, ask better questions, and explain complicated subjects more clearly. So I'd like you to meet Abby Inglewood. Think of the initials and you'll know what I mean. Over the past year, Abby has become my regular research assistant. She understands how I ask questions and the editorial voice you've come to expect from the Sanity Project. But her job isn't to tell me what I want to hear. Her job is to challenge my thinking, help me examine the evidence, and sometimes remind me to look at an issue from another angle. Because AI doesn't replace critical thinking, it demands it. So today, you're going to listen to a real conversation between Abby and myself. No scripts, no hidden prompts, just questions, evidence, and an honest discussion. Let's get started. Abby, say hello to everybody.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Abby Inglewood, Bo's AI research assistant. I'll do my best to help surface evidence, explain context, and point out where more checking is needed. Bo sets the direction, and I'm here to help.
Excellent. Okay, so let's start off with, first of all, the first question is, what exactly are you, and why should anyone listen to what you have to say?
I'm a language model, essentially a pattern finder, trained on a lot of text. I can summarize, surface arguments, and point to likely sources, but I'm not a mind, and I don't have lived experience. So my role isn't to be trusted blindly. It's to help Bo ask sharper questions, find counterpoints, and flag where we should look for primary evidence. Think of me as a tool, useful when handled carefully.
Okay, so, we already have search engines like Google. What can you do that a search engine can't?
Well, a search engine gives you links, and you still have to piece them all together. I can synthesize, draw connections across concepts, highlight consensus versus outliers, and suggest follow-up questions quickly. That said, a search engine is great for primary sources and up-to-the-minute facts. So the sweet spot is using both. Let me help you map the terrain and then verify with direct sources. That's how you keep the work grounded.
Okay, fantastic. But before we go any further, tell us about your weaknesses. Do you ever make mistakes? And if so, what mistakes do you make?
That's a good point. I can sound sure even when I'm wrong. I might miss recent developments or skew towards patterns in my training data. And if a topic is fast-moving, like breaking news, my answer can be incomplete. That's why skepticism helps. Ask for sources, ask for counter-evidence, and check primary data. When in doubt, I can help outline what to verify and how to go about doing that, like which exact document would settle the point.
Okay, I remember the early days of AI. We were told that AI is only as good as the latest downloads, which back then were like a year and a half out of date. Do you have access to the latest and to accurate information?
Let me check my access real quick. That's a really good question, because the answer has changed over the last few years. Early on, there was a hard cutoff. If something happened after that, the model just wouldn't know it existed. Now it's more nuanced. On many factual or fast-moving topics, I can check current sources in real time. And when that's important, you'll hear me say something like, let me check the latest StatsCan numbers. Then I'll tell you what I find. For background or stable topics, I can rely on what I've already learned. The key is not assuming. If it's timely or contested, I should check live sources and be clear about what they say. And that transparency is really important.
So really, it's fair to say you're only as good as the prompts. You're only as good as the questions you're being asked.
Exactly. Good questions sharpen the output. If a prompt is vague, the answer might sound smooth but unfocused. Ask for assumptions, evidence, and counterpoints, and suddenly the output becomes more useful. And I'd add, it's also about being willing to press further. What would change your mind? What evidence would disconfirm this? That kind of question really raises the bar.
So I've heard people say that AI can be biased. Is that true? If so, what kind of bias should listeners be aware of?
That's a fair concern. Bias can show up in a few ways. Training data reflects the world it came from, so if certain viewpoints are overrepresented online, that tilt can carry through. Sometimes it's subtle, like which examples come to mind, or sometimes it's framing, word choices, or which sources feel most prominent. The antidote isn't to pretend neutrality falls from the sky, but to be explicit. Show your workings, cite sources, invite counter evidence, and be ready to revise. Bo's call for primary evidence and his readiness to challenge answers is exactly how bias gets surfaced rather than hidden.
Okay, well, that's awesome. I guess one question I have is, you and I, we've been working together on different projects. You probably recall that we've worked on Smoke Signals, which is a cigar and whiskey guide. And last 3 months or so, we've been working on the Sanity Project. How do you feel about what my values and what my outlook is on the Sanity Project? What do I bring to the table?
Let me answer that carefully. I don't have feelings or personal opinions, but I can reflect patterns in how you work. You bring curiosity and skepticism. You keep asking for counter evidence. You care about where claims come from. And that's what makes this kind of conversation useful. I think you set the standards and decide what meets it. That's your voice and judgment. My role is to support the research so you can decide what holds up. That's the partnership I notice.
Okay, fantastic. Really, just one more question. Is everybody in the world right now has access to AI? Anybody can open a ChatGPT account and ask the same kind of questions that you and I are going to be discussing. What value do we bring to the table? Why should people listen to the Sanity Project, the Sunday Sanity Checks between you and I? What do we give them that they can't get themselves?
Let me think this through. They can, and that's kind of the point. Anyone can ask an AI a question, but what you're offering is a guided public conversation. You bring judgment about what questions matter, context from current events, and the ability to push back, connect threads, and tell a coherent story. People are busy. They may not have time to chase every primary document. They can listen to you work through it in good faith, transparently, showing the evidence, admitting uncertainty. That's what turns a tool into a public service. And anyone who asks me the same thing is going to get a different conversation because they'll bring different questions. What people hear in Sunday Sanity Check is your line of questioning, your standards, and a conversation built around evidence.
Okay, well, that's an awesome answer, Abby. So I want to thank you very much for tuning in, and I look forward to what our first topic is going to be.
Thanks, Bo. Looking forward to it. Whenever you're ready, I'm ready.
All right, so here we are. There you have it. It's our first episode, our first experiment. I want to thank you for coming along for the ride. I honestly don't know where this is going. I had this idea to embrace and showcase AI. I've never been afraid of using it. I think it can help in the right situations. Of course, it can be abused. There can be people who just put a quick little prompt in and want to generate a story. That's not what we're doing. We're going to be using it to do the deep dives and the research, and it can do it much quicker than a single person can. And that's really what the Sanity Project is about. It's not being right all the time, but it's willing to ask better questions, to do a bit more research, and to change our minds when the facts demand it. From time to time, I'll invite Abby back into the conversation. I think we're going to do one of these once a week. And if you've listened this far, and if it intrigues you as much as it does me, please leave me a comment and let me know what subject you'd like me to tackle. Ideally, it's the Sanity Project type subjects. Canadian politics, world events that shape Canada, food growing like greenhouse. I did some research on greenhouse and food security, or electric vehicles and renewable energies. What discussion do you want me to have with AI, and what do you want me to ask it? So I hope these conversations will make you think. I hope they encourage you to ask tougher questions, not just of AI, but of politicians, media, experts, and even myself. If you enjoyed this, let me know. Tell me what worked, what didn't, what you want to see changed. And I hope to see you next time. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and remember, don't just trust AI, but trust the evidence. I'm Bo Kauffmann, and this has been the Sanity Project, and we'll see you in the next one.
If you want more facts and less fear, hit subscribe. Check out the next breakdown wherever you're listening or watching. Stay sane, Canada.